You become what you think about. It's not just a quote. It's the single greatest discovery in human history and the most ignored. Everything that exists around you, every building, every invention, every dream that turned into a billion-dollar empire began in the invisible workshop of a human mind. The mind, your mind, is not a place of idle thoughts. It's a factory of creation, and the product it manufactures is your life. But here's the tragedy: most people are running that factory without supervision. They let fear produce anxiety. They let doubt manufacture excuses. They let distractions build failure brick by brick. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about," and that's the strangest secret. It's strange because it's simple. It's powerful because it's true. And it's ignored because it demands responsibility. You can't blame luck when you understand this law. You can't point at fate, or timing, or privilege. Because once you realize that your dominant thoughts are shaping your reality, the game changes forever. If you think in limitation, you'll live in limitation. If you think in possibility, you'll live in expansion. Your outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your inner conversation. That's why the rich get richer, not because the world favors them, but because their thoughts align with wealth. That's why the confident attract opportunity, not because of magic, but because their belief speaks louder than their words. The truth is, the world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you believe. You've seen it. The dreamers who never stop talking about what they'll do one day, and the doers who quietly think, plan, and act until one day becomes today. The difference between them isn't talent, or IQ, or luck. It's the mental direction of their energy. Your thoughts are energy, alive, vibrant, magnetic. They don't vanish into the air, they attract like to like. When you think of struggle, you call it closer. When you think of power, you awaken it. When you think of failure, your mind finds ways to prove you right. The mind does not filter right or wrong, it only obeys. It's the most loyal servant you'll ever have, and the most dangerous master if you let it run wild. So, the question isn't, what do you want? The real question is, what are you thinking about most of the time? Because that is what you are becoming. Let me remind you of something Thomas Edison once said: if we all did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. And yet, most people never come close. Not because they lack capability, but because their thoughts chain them to mediocrity. They dream of freedom while thinking in fear. They talk about success while repeating the same mental patterns of failure. They say they want to fly, but their mind keeps building cages. And here's the great paradox: the universe is ready to give you everything you ask for, but it's waiting for your belief to match your desire. You can't wish for greatness while thinking small. You can't chase abundance while feeling unworthy. You can't ask for success while secretly believing you'll fail. That's the hidden law of the mind. Your belief always overrules your desire. You might want something with all your heart, but if your thoughts whisper, "I can't," the universe hears that whisper louder than your scream. You are the architect of your destiny, but the blueprint is drawn in your thoughts. And most people, they keep revising that blueprint with fear. It's time to become intentional. Time to become aware of what you feed your mind. Because whatever you plant, you will harvest. You can't plant weeds and expect roses. You can't think scarcity and expect wealth. You can't live in self-doubt and expect confidence. Everything you are, everything you do, everything you attract, it's all the echo of your dominant thought. The mind doesn't take orders from chance, it takes orders from repetition. So if you want to change your life, stop waiting for circumstances and start training your thoughts. Train them like a muscle. Discipline them like a soldier. Direct them like a compass points north. Because if you don't control your thoughts, they will control you. And the worst prison is the one built inside your own mind. You become what you think about. That's not poetry, it's physics. It's the formula that every visionary, every entrepreneur, every world changer has lived by, whether they knew it or not. It's how Edison lit the world. How Carnegie built empires. How Disney turned imagination into reality. And it's how you can turn your invisible ideas into visible success. Every day, you are feeding your mind a diet. Not of food, but of thoughts, emotions, and stories. And just like the body becomes what you eat, the mind becomes what you consume. Most people spend their lives feeding on mental junk food. Fear-based news, gossip, comparison, distraction. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, uninspired, and lost. You can't fill your mind with poison and expect it to produce power. You can't surround yourself with negativity and expect to attract abundance. Your environment is not neutral, it's programming you, silently, daily. The people you listen to, the conversations you engage in, the content you watch, they all shape the boundaries of your belief. If you stay in the wrong room long enough, you'll forget who you are. That's why it's not selfish to protect your mental space, it's survival. You must defend your thoughts like a king guards his throne. Because one wrong belief, one seed of doubt, can grow into a forest that chokes your potential. Your mind is the soil of your future, and whatever you plant there, good or bad, will grow. So be intentional. Plant seeds of power, not weakness. Plant discipline, not distraction. Plant vision, not fear. The people who rise, the ones who defy odds, who rewrite their story, they aren't lucky. They're gardeners of the mind. They prune, they plant, they protect. Every day. Think of Henry Ford. The world called him insane for believing that an ordinary man could build a horseless carriage that everyone could afford. They laughed, they criticized, they doubted, but he didn't. He kept his thoughts pure, focused, unbroken, and the world eventually had to adjust to his belief. The world doesn't believe in you first. You must believe in yourself long enough for the world to catch up, and that begins in your thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, the first 5 minutes decide your mental state for the day. Those moments are sacred. They are the steering wheel of your destiny. If you wake up and instantly think of problems, stress, and lack, you've already surrendered your mind to chaos. But if you begin with gratitude, clarity, and purpose, you've already set the tone of victory. It's not about pretending that life is easy, it's about commanding your focus toward what empowers you. Earl Nightingale called this the strangest secret because most people never realize how simple it is. The law doesn't require luck, money, or privilege. It only requires control over your attention. Your life expands or shrinks in direct proportion to your dominant focus. If you keep looking at what's missing, your mind becomes blind to opportunity. But if you train yourself to look for possibilities, they multiply. Because what you focus on expands. This is why two people can live in the same world. One sees limitations, the other sees leverage. One complains about the storm, the other learns to sail through it. The difference isn't circumstance, it's consciousness. Your consciousness is the lens through which you experience life. If the lens is dirty, covered with doubt, jealousy, resentment, then even beauty looks like chaos. Clean the lens. Clean it with discipline, with gratitude, with self-belief. Every great transformation begins with one clean thought. A thought that says, I refuse to be ordinary. Because the moment you decide to elevate your thinking, your entire world starts to rearrange itself around that decision. The right people show up. The right opportunities appear. Even the setbacks begin to make sense. That's not magic. That's alignment. Your inner vibration starts matching your outer experience. And the universe, it always responds to alignment. But make no mistake, this path isn't for everyone. Most people will never take control of their thoughts because it's hard. It requires awareness. It requires discipline. It requires you to take responsibility for every result in your life. It's easier to say, life's unfair. It's easier to say, they got lucky. It's easier to believe in chance than to believe in choice. But you're different. You're listening because something inside you knows there's more. You felt that quiet voice that says, you're made for greater things. And that voice, that whisper, is not random. It's your potential trying to wake you up. You've spent enough time doubting yourself. You've spent enough time replaying the same fears. Now it's time to take back control of the steering wheel of your mind. Your thoughts are not spectators. They are builders, each one laying a brick toward your destiny. And every time you think I can't, you tear down what you've been building. So stop. Stop giving your mind mixed signals. Stop dreaming one moment and doubting the next. Pick a vision and feed it until it becomes your reality. Because here's the truth. You don't need the world to believe in you. You just need to think long enough, deep enough, and consistently enough until belief becomes your natural state. Your belief system is the software of your destiny. Every thought you think writes a line of code into your subconscious mind. And that subconscious, it doesn't argue. It doesn't question. It simply obeys. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm not good enough, your subconscious will build a life that proves it. If you say, I'm always unlucky, it will rearrange circumstances to confirm that belief. But the same law works in the opposite direction. Say, I'm capable, I'm deserving, I'm destined to rise, and your subconscious will start aligning reality to validate that truth. The problem is, most people live as victims of their own mental programming. They inherited beliefs from their parents, teachers, and society and never stop to ask, do these beliefs serve me? They think poverty is normal. They think success belongs to the lucky few. They think dreams are for children. And because they believe these lies, they live inside them. Earl Nightingale said, we become what we think about most of the time. Think about that most of the time. Not occasionally. Not when you're motivated. All the time. Your life is not determined by what you wish for once in a while. It's shaped by what you consistently think about when no one is watching. Those quiet moments when your mind drifts, that's where your future is being formed. If your dominant thoughts are fear, you'll find fear everywhere. If your dominant thoughts are power, you'll find strength even in chaos. Your outer world is simply your inner world projected on a larger screen. If you want to change the movie, don't fight the screen, rewrite the script. And that script begins with your thoughts. You must take responsibility for what you allow to live rent-free in your mind. Every day, thousands of thoughts knock on your mental door. Some come with light, some come with darkness. You get to choose who enters. But here's the paradox. The mind doesn't respond to what's true. It responds to what's believed. You can have all the logic in the world telling you you're capable, but if your emotions are anchored in doubt, you'll sabotage yourself before you even begin. That's why belief isn't just thinking, it's feeling. You must feel abundance before it arrives. You must feel worthy before success comes. You must feel unstoppable even when everything around you is falling apart. The great achievers of history understood the secret. They didn't wait for conditions to change, they changed their conditions internally. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. People laughed, mocked, and doubted him, but his belief never wavered. He said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's not confidence. That's mental mastery. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he was told he had no imagination. Yet he built an empire of imagination that still inspires the world. Why? Because he believed in the unseen. He saw castles before land. He heard music before the orchestra existed. He lived the vision before it became visible. That's the hidden law of the mind. The world gives form to what you hold firm. So, if you want to change your circumstances, you must first change what you accept as possible. Because here's the truth, the world doesn't limit you. Your imagination does. Most people think the opposite of success is failure. It's not. The opposite of success is doubt. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure gives feedback. Doubt stops you before you start. That's why your first duty every morning is to renew your faith in yourself, in your vision, in your purpose. Every sunrise is a reminder, you're still here because there's still something left to create. And that creation begins in your mind. If you could see your thoughts as energy, waves moving through space, shaping your future like invisible architects, you would never waste another day thinking small. You would never let fear dominate your inner world, because you'd realize you are constantly broadcasting the frequency of your destiny. You are a transmitter, and the universe is simply echoing back your dominant signal. You think abundance, you attract opportunities. You think growth, you attract challenges that make you grow. You think gratitude, you attract blessings. But think fear and you attract resistance, limitation, and delay. This is not philosophy. It's physics. It's vibration. It's resonance. You are living proof of your most consistent thought pattern. So, what are you thinking right now? Because that thought, the one you're having this very second, is already shaping the next version of your reality. Be careful. Your mind is always listening. Your future is always recording. Every word, every feeling, every silent assumption, they're writing your destiny. This is why your greatest task isn't to work harder. It's to think higher, because when your thoughts elevate, your world follows. There's a simple truth that few people ever learn. Your life expands in direct proportion to your self-image. You can only rise as high as you see yourself. You can only achieve what your mind allows you to receive. If you secretly believe you're undeserving, unworthy, or unlucky, you will unconsciously reject the very opportunities you've been praying for. That's the hidden sabotage no one talks about. You'll dream of wealth and success, but your inner thermostat is still set to mediocrity. And no matter how hard you try, you'll always return to that internal setting, until you change it from within. This is what Earl Nightingale meant when he said, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." He didn't say instant achievement. He said progressive realization, meaning success is not what you have, it's who you are becoming. You must see yourself as already successful, not someday, not when life becomes easier, but right now, in this very breath, because that's how transformation begins, not by waiting for evidence, but by becoming the evidence. You must build the picture of the person you want to be, until it becomes so vivid that your mind can no longer tell the difference between what's imagined and what's real. This is the power of the subconscious mind. It doesn't operate in logic. It operates in repetition, emotion, and belief. If you visualize failure, it will faithfully build it. If you visualize victory, it will move mountains to make it happen. Your subconscious is neutral. It's not your friend, and it's not your enemy. It's your servant. Feed it garbage, it will give you chaos. Feed it greatness, it will give you destiny. That's why discipline isn't punishment. It's alignment. Every time you stay consistent, every time you follow through, you're teaching your mind who's in control. You're telling your subconscious, this is who I am now. This is how I live. This is what I expect. And slowly, the old patterns, laziness, fear, procrastination, they start to dissolve. Not because you forced change, but because you became the kind of person who no longer tolerates the old version. That's the real secret. You don't chase transformation, you embody it. You stop saying, I want to be confident, and start acting confident, even when you don't feel like it. You stop saying, I want to be disciplined, and start living disciplined, even when it's uncomfortable. You stop saying, I want success, and start thinking, speaking, and behaving like success already lives inside you. Because the mind believes what it sees the most, and if you consistently show it a higher version of yourself, eventually, it accepts that as truth. And here's where most people fail. They quit too soon. They stop before the mind fully reprograms. They expect instant change, but the subconscious doesn't respond to impatience. It responds to persistence. You must persist long enough for the old identity to die. Think about the seed planted in the ground. It doesn't grow because it was watered once. It grows because it was nourished, day after day, long before anyone could see results above the surface. Your growth works the same way. You can't see it at first, but something is happening underneath. Every repetition, every visualization, every disciplined action, is feeding that seed of greatness buried deep within you. Most people never harvest the life they want, because they stop watering the soil right before the roots break through. They walk away, saying, it didn't work. But here's the truth, it was about to. The mind doesn't reveal progress linearly. It reveals it suddenly. You keep planting, keep watering, and one day, without warning, something shifts. The fog lifts. The energy changes. And you realize you're no longer trying to become the person you wanted to be. You are that person. This is the silent miracle of transformation. And when that moment comes, you'll look back and understand that every failure, every delay, every disappointment wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Because you were never denied. You were being designed. The universe was testing your belief, asking, do you still see it? Do you still want it? Do you still believe you're worthy of it? Every test was a mirror, reflecting back whether you were ready to receive what you asked for. And most people fail that test, not because they lack potential, but because they give up right before their mind catches up with their dream. So the next time life feels slow, silent, or uncertain, don't doubt the process. That silence is sacred. That's the sound of your roots getting stronger. Because the deeper the roots, the taller the tree can rise. There comes a point in every journey where you stop chasing and start receiving. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because your mind finally caught up to the frequency of abundance. Gratitude is that frequency. It's not something you practice after success, it's what creates success. It's the invisible magnet that turns lack into plenty. When you begin to thank life for what you already have, you send a powerful signal to the universe. I already live in abundance. And the universe, in perfect harmony with your vibration, responds, then here's more. You see, most people wait for things to happen before they feel grateful. But the masters, the visionaries, the pioneers, the legends, they flipped the formula. They felt grateful first. And that emotion carved the path for miracles to follow. Earl Nightingale once said, our attitude toward life determines life's attitude toward us. He didn't say it as a poetic phrase, he meant it as a universal law. You get from life exactly what you put into it. Fear gives you more fear. Doubt gives you more reasons to doubt. But gratitude multiplies everything it touches. And here's the secret. Gratitude doesn't blind you from reality, it reshapes it. It allows you to look at your circumstances and say, I may not have everything I want yet, but I already have more than I need to begin. That shift from frustration to appreciation changes the chemistry of your mind, the vibration of your body, and the direction of your destiny. Because no great transformation ever came from complaint. It came from vision. It came from someone who refused to focus on what's missing, and decided to build from what's present. You want to know how the wealthy think they don't count what they've lost. They measure what they've learned. They don't say, why me? They ask, what's next? They see setbacks as systems training them for mastery. They see delay as divine timing. They understand that life doesn't punish those who try. It molds them. That's why every obstacle is a classroom. Every failure is feedback. Every disappointment is redirection. The people who achieve greatness aren't the ones with perfect lives. They're the ones who kept believing when perfection didn't show up. Think about it. Edison failed 1,000 times before light filled a room. Disney was rejected by bankers who said he had no imagination. Colonel Sanders knocked on over 1,000 doors before someone said yes to his chicken recipe. And yet, none of them quit. Because their belief wasn't for sale. They had one thing in common. They didn't wait for permission to believe. And that's what this law, the hidden law of the mind, is all about. You become what you think about most of the time. If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you can, you will. But if you live with gratitude even for the smallest progress, you ignite the most powerful force on earth, momentum. Because success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who appreciate while they work. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Abundance is not money. Abundance is mindset. You can have $1 million and still feel poor. Or you can have a single idea, a healthy mind, and a strong heart, and feel unstoppable. True wealth begins in thought, not in your wallet. It begins with the way you see the world, the way you interpret failure, the way you rise every morning and decide, this is my time. Because nothing changes until your mind does. And once your mind changes, everything else follows like dominoes falling into place. So train your thoughts to see opportunity. Train your eyes to notice blessings. Train your words to build, not destroy. And train your emotions to stay calm when others panic. Because the world will always test you. Not to break you, but to prove that you can't be broken. And when you finally realize that you were never competing with anyone else, that the only competition was the older version of yourself, you'll understand the peace that comes with true mastery. It's not about being the best, it's about becoming your best consistently, quietly, relentlessly. And that's what separates the average from the exceptional. One keeps reacting to life. The other creates it. Every morning you wake up with a choice. React or create. Complain or construct. Wait or work. And the people who build extraordinary lives? They choose creation every single day. Because they understand what you must never forget. The mind is not a cage. It's a canvas. And whatever you paint on it, you will eventually walk into. There comes a moment when you stop chasing the world and start creating it. When you realize that every result, every success, every dream was first built twice, once in the mind and once in reality. That's the law. The mind always builds first. Look around you. The chair you're sitting on, the screen you're watching this from, the city lights, the skyscrapers, the music, the microphone, all of it was once an idea. Invisible, unseen, but someone believed in it long enough for it to exist. And that's the power you carry within you, the ability to imagine something better, and then make it real. But here's what most people never understand: the universe doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to clarity. If your vision is foggy, your results will be too. If your goals are uncertain, your life will drift. That's why most people spend years wandering, chasing opportunity, following trends, copying others, and still end up feeling empty. Because they never stop to ask the one question that changes everything. Backhand index pointing right: what am I truly here for? Not what your parents expect, not what society celebrates, not what pays the quickest, but what calls you from deep within. That voice you've ignored for too long, that voice is your purpose. And until you answer it, you will always feel a quiet restlessness in your soul. Because success without purpose is just noise. Money without meaning is poverty in disguise. And power without direction is destruction. You don't become successful by chasing fame. You become successful by chasing clarity. By aligning what you do with who you are. That's what separates the ones who make a living from the ones who build a legacy. Earl Nightingale called it the strangest secret in the world. He said you become what you think about. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. But always. Because your dominant thoughts shape your destiny. And your destiny shapes the world around you. So if you constantly think in limits, your life will shrink to fit them. But if you think in possibilities, the world will expand before your eyes. And when you finally start thinking like a creator, you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? That's where the real transformation begins. Because you don't rise by taking more. You rise by becoming more. More disciplined. More focused. More valuable. More you. And when you start pouring your gift into the world, life begins to pour back into you. That's the law of reciprocity. The law of contribution. The hidden rhythm behind every great destiny. So build, serve, lead, love, and believe. Because if there's one truth that has stood the test of time, it's this: thought balloon. Whatever you hold in your mind with faith and purpose, will one day be held in your hands with reality. Now is your time. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Today. Write your vision down. Speak it. Live it. Protect it. Don't let small minds convince you your dream is too big. Don't let comfort make you forget your potential. And don't let fear talk you out of your divine assignment. Because the same law that made men legends still works today. It never stopped. It's just waiting for the next believer. So when you walk out that door, walk with the posture of someone who already knows, I am the creator of my destiny. Think abundance. Act with discipline. Speak with faith. And watch the world rearrange itself in your favor. Because the secret is no longer strange. It's right here. It's been waiting for you to believe. You become what you think about. Always.